So when a simple project turns into a not so simple project, that's what we're faced with today. So I've got this poplar log, a tree that I cut down 2 days ago, simply supposed to fall to the left of this white oak and land gently on the ground where I could cut the top off, pull it down to put on the mill. Unfortunately, it hung perfectly in this white oak. In fact, it's the worst case scenario that I've had in a very, very long time, because that white oak is actually under tension, pushing the log back uphill and even burying the butt into the ground a little bit. So got my spotters here. We're going to try to use some mechanical advantage, use some snatch blocks and some pulleys here to see if we can get that moved around a little easier. And we're going to try to do this without any personal bodily injury or death, because that kind of takes the fun out of homesteading. So come along. Well, horse poo. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen. So that hung right in that white oak, caught that branch sticking out. Daggone it if it didn't snap the top end and then get hung. So here's our log in question. Obviously the stump, the butt log, fell right in the oak. Like I said, there's some backward pressure here. Yesterday we took the come along and tried to winch it that way. And as you can see here, it just kind of dug into the dirt. And so buried in, exceeded the capabilities of my come along. So I've heard several people extol the virtues of these Harbor Freight snatch blocks. So grabbed a couple of those last night in a D-ring. And I've got 100 foot of 3/8 cable that, actually I think it's bigger than that. I think it's 1/2 inch cable that my friend Thomas Schmidt sent me. And Thomas is an extraction expert. I think that's the proper term, but basically the guys that could recover these huge semis and things, big stuff that's fallen over the hill or wrecked, he was good at recovering those. So he had told me a while back that you get double the pulling power instead of just hooking a chain to this and trying to winch it that way, to actually use a pulley system. So we're going to hook up this snatch block to this part, and we're going to put the cable on one end of a tree over here and the cable on the other end of the tree over here, and we're going to use the pulley to increase our mechanical advantage. We'll see how that works. So I don't have a lot of card space on that, so we'll have to keep dead time here. Okay, this kind of looks like a Rube Goldberg device in the middle of the woods here, just to move one log. But we've got the log attached with the snatch block, so we're using the mechanical advantage of the pulley there. We're anchored back here on this tree. So anchored high, so we can get a little bit of lift out of it. But then we're also coming back to another snatch block, simply because we have a boatload of cable, and I don't want to cut my cable, don't want to crimp my cable, I don't want to hurt my cable at all. So we're going all the way down there against that big walnut, and that's where we're going to let the magic happen. And it also gets us far away from the tree if it would happen to fall. Obviously it doesn't keep us out of the line of cable, but we're going to try to keep from breaking cables. So got a little bit of tension on it. Let's see what we can do. Come with. Is it moving?
It is, yep. A fraction of an inch.
You're using your body leverage against you. Do like I was. Look, stand like this and pull it to your chest. Yeah, but you got to stand in between those two logs.
Like, put your back to,
yeah,
put your
back
front
to me. There you go.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah. Work it, work it. No dice?
Come on, come on. Yes, come on. Woo!
No. So after 4 different winch configurations, we finally got this turkey on the ground. And man, it took a while. It was actually a perfect storm of issues that really just put way too much weight on the base of this and had it in a bind. Let me show you real quick. So here's our stump, again elevated over our clearing, and I'm going to turn 180 degrees, and then that's the white oak it was hung in. So the issue was, you saw that tree was at a pretty good angle. It wasn't hung like that, it wasn't hung horizontal, but maybe about a 45-degree angle. Well, what happened is that white oak was pushed this way downhill by that treetop, and so it naturally wants to spring back, so it just kept shoving that trunk, that base of that tree into the ground. And that's why here we just, no matter where we'd pull, we just get this big cut. So that's why I had to go laterally and pull it all the way down here. Ended up having to take out this little beech tree so I could get a clear shot. And then it got so jammed down here that I had to release about 3 feet of the butt to be able to get it to clear the ground. So Camlin had the side-by-side way up there with the cable snatch block back to the walnut tree. So man, it was just one fight after another. Finally got it on the ground. Took us about 2.5 hours to get that on the ground. And fortunately, nobody got hurt. No equipment was damaged. And I've released the top already, but it's in a little bit of a bind still. So to get it out of here, I'm still going to have to, I'm just going to go ahead and walk it off, get my log lengths, and fish it out with the side-by-side and the cable that way. Didn't beat the rain. We had rain last night, so it is what it is. If we get a muddy log, we get a muddy log, but at least get these out and get them staged so I can get them down to the mill. All right, so I got a 22 footer and then a little bit over 16. The unfortunate part about selecting this tree is it grew up through this big beech canopy here and I couldn't see the top of it. And there's a fork in it that branches out into two smaller logs. And it is what it is. Still getting what? That's 38 feet of log, but if that hadn't had that fork, there'd been even more to use. The other tree that I cut down earlier, I got about 55 feet out of it. That's the beauty of poplar. Oh, and the white oak, it did okay. I think it's still going to survive, but there's a pretty nasty poplar widowmaker here. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah. So I don't know if you can see that broken limb right there. That's a pretty nasty poplar widowmaker. Got a nice point on it too. So we're gonna stay on this side of the tree, on the right side of the tree, when we do our hauling here. Never easy. Plan B on log 2, wedged down in between this poplar and beech hump. So I was able to take another snag here using some leverage, got it underneath. I'm hoping that I can use this poplar as a fulcrum. Got the chain and hoist hooked up here, or the winch hooked up here, so hopefully it'll lift that end up. Let's see. Probably should move the chainsaw first before we crush it twice.